The first of the top 3 festivals in Nigeria, the Port Harcourt Book Festival, took place in October. As usual, it was a time for interesting panel discussions, book charts, and readings. Perhaps the highlight of the festival was the showcasing of 39 of Africa's best under 40 writers, who were selected based on the Africa 39 project in celebration of Port Harcourt UNESCO World Book Capital 2014. A book titled Africa 39, which is a compilation of the writings of the selected 39, was publicly released. I can't think of a better one-stop book for the writings of the most gifted young African writers. It's our book of the week, and we highly recommend it. After this break, I will be back to introduce our next guest. Please don't go away. The Ikea Art and Book Festival has a follow-up edition that will take place in Abeokuta between the 18th and 22nd of November 2014. This festival is 5 days of book charts, panel discussions, interviews, music, film, performance dance, school visits, and book reviews. Shoneyin, the author of The Secret Lives of Baba Segi's Wives, is the pioneer and director of this special festival. Prior to its first edition, Lola told us about her vision for the festival.
I decided, you know what, there's a big dream that I've had for many years, which is to have a very big book festival. And then I started putting it together in my mind. I'd go to all these festivals, I'd ask some of the authors, would you come to Nigeria for a book festival? You know, and the response has been really positive. So that's going to happen now in November 19 to 24. It's called the Ikea Book Festival. It's taking place in Abeokuta, in the lush hills of Ogun State. And, you know, and under the rocks and everything. So I'm very excited about that, you know, every day talking to new authors, you know, some of them contact me, I hear you're doing this, could I come? But also we're making it a very broad, and we want it to be appealing to the general public in many ways, the way that the Edinburgh Festival is. So we're going to have film, we're going to have fiction, we're going to have poetry, we're going to have audience, you know, talks. We're going to have masterclasses for people who want to do journalism, life writing, fiction, poetry. So we've got lots of really accomplished authors.
Well, she went on to organize a super festival in November 2013, which attracted some of the most talented and accomplished writers across the African continent. Now she's set for a sequel. She joined us to discuss what it has been like organizing Nigeria's fast-rising literary event. Here's Lola Shoneyin. It's nice to have you on the Channels Book Club again, Lola.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Over a year ago, we interviewed you, and you spoke about that dream of organizing this beautiful festival, and it turned out to be fantastic. What has it been like putting that festival and the next one together? It must have been tough.
It's been wonderful. Obviously, there's a larger pool of authors to choose from now with initiatives like Africa 39, the new book, and also different prizes like the Etisalat Book Prize. What that does is that it opens up the pool, because the one thing that an organizer is worried about when it comes to things like book festivals, especially when the focus is on Africa, is that you're going to run out very quickly of people to invite. But it's been great. We've managed to put together a second edition, which is starting on the 18th, going to run until the 22nd of November. And we've got amazing authors coming, some really incredible events and activities. So we're very proud.
What has the experience taught you about the reading culture, the literary culture in Nigeria and the African continent generally?
The first thing, if I'm going to talk about things that I've learned, it's that apart from the government not really doing much to support the arts and, of course, the development of culture in Nigeria, it's a really tough, it's a tough one too when it comes to even the private sector. And it's something I would really like to talk to Nigerians about, especially CEOs, people running large, organizations and companies. It's worth it to invest some money and some time and some services in initiatives that promote arts and culture. With regard to the reading culture, our kids are hungry. They're hungry for books. They're hungry to meet writers. They're hungry to get good literature. The problem is that it's just not available. What's available sometimes, and I'm talking about the large majority of Nigerians for whom, many of whom don't have the disposable income to purchase books. I mean, we've just got to think of ways that we can put books into the hands of these children. I mean, all our authors, just about all our authors last year, went to different state schools and the independent schools around Abeokuta to meet the children, to talk to them, to interact with them. They loved the experience, and the kids loved it too.
Now, the festivals are growing. Lagos Book and Art Festival, Port Harcourt Book Festival, then yours, Ake. How important are these festivals to the Nigerian society or to any society generally? You've been to a lot of festivals all over the world. What's your take on that?
I think it's really critical to bring the writers or the practitioners when you're talking about filmmakers, because of course Ake is an arts and book festival. So we do dance, we do theatre, we do art. It's all sorts of stuff that we do there. And it's critical that people actually come in contact with the creatives. But for me, especially with the vision of the Ake Arts and Book Festival, it's an opportunity to get African creatives, African thinkers together to discuss issues that are important for Africa, that are pertinent to Africa, but to have those discussions on African soil. And so for me, we need as many people are out there who can create, who can develop festivals, anything that brings people together, that draws attention to the arts and culture, which is very important about getting to understand who we are, where we come from, what's great about us. I would really encourage them to go for it.
Bridges and pathways, that's a theme for this year's festival.
Yeah.
It seems so appropriate considering what's going on in Nigeria, in many countries in Africa, all over the world.
Well, exactly. We try to respond to what's going on, what's current. And with Bridges and Pathways, a lot of the discussions that we're going to have this year are to do with conflict, along gender, along religious lines, along ethnic lines, even along language lines. It's all about building bridges. It's important that we get together and have these discussions, and who better to have them than creatives who sometimes have a really interesting perspective on what's going on. So it's not just Nigeria either, it's everywhere. It's what's going on. It's language, for instance, when you look at Benin Republic and Nigeria, French-speaking country, English-speaking country. I have a few author friends who are from Benin Republic, but I can't access their work. We speak Yoruba to each other, but I can't read, my French is atrocious, and of course, they can't read English. So it's very strange, and it's interesting because this is a real opportunity to build bridges, but also with so many vibrant young people having very important opinions. It's great to listen to them and see how we can, chart new paths and, find solutions to some of the issues.
I'm curious to know why you took the festival to Abeokuta. Why Abeokuta? Last year's one was Abeokuta.
Yes.
This year's one is Abeokuta. It's going to be Abeokuta, right?
I think it's going to be Abeokuta for a long time to come. First of all, it's called the Ake Festival. So it's very important to me personally and to the team that we sort of retain that connection to Wole Soyinka, who's such a wonderful icon, who's a mentor to so many. So we're keeping it in Abeokuta for now. But also, I find that I go to a lot of festivals, and sometimes they're in big cities, other times they're in little towns. And the ones that I enjoy the most take place in the smaller, sort of quaint, more historically significant parts of the different countries, as opposed to the big cities. because the city in itself, of course, becomes a distraction. As you're thinking about traffic, you're thinking, oh man, is there a nice nightclub over there, stuff like that. You know, your focus kind of shifts. Whereas when people come to Abeokuta, which is kind of sleepy in its own way, but lovely, lovely landscape with all the rocks, when people come, they really focus on the reason that they're there. And I think that's great.
I observed at the festival last year and other festivals in Nigeria, there seems to be almost an overwhelming focus on fiction works. You know, what are we expecting this year at Ake? Is it going to be the same?
Well, because it's an arts and book festival, we do have a focus on books. And of course, when you're looking at the books that are most widely read, a lot of the time you'll find that it is fiction. Nevertheless, it's very important to look at memoirs, for instance. So this year we have Professor Wale Soyinka. We're going to talk to him about his memoirs, the four of them, Ibadan, Ishara, Ake, and The Man Died, which have been recently relaunched. The new edition has come out. And it's very important to look at the role models that we have in Nigeria today, and just to have somebody sit down and sort of pick his brain, what was going on in his mind when he was writing those books. So it's called, the event itself is called Memory as Muse. So we've got that. We've also got a sit-down chat with President Olusegun Obasanjo, who has written, you know, any number, I mean, lots of books, just talking about his experience as a leader and leading up to that process. So we've got that as well. But apart from that, we've got theatre. We've got Tayo Aluko coming to Ogun State for the very first time to do, so we're going to have the Ogun State premiere of Call Mr. Robeson, where he sings, of course, and it's been so well received all over the world. Of course, it should be here, it should be performed on Nigerian soil. And we've also got Kudu Sonikeku, Paris-trained, incredible dancer. And he has this piece that's just come back from the South Bank in the UK called My Exile is in My Head. So he's coming to perform that, where, you know, they just cost 1,000 naira to come and watch these shows that take place in the evening. But they're incredible, you know, opportunities to have an evening out, a different kind of evening out. We've also got 2 art exhibitions. We've got Vera Bottobosh, and then we've got one called In the Lion's Lair. And for one of the first times ever, I believe, I shouldn't say one I'm not sure of, but I believe these photos have never been seen before, but this is Victor Ehikameno taking photographs of Professor Wale Soyinka in his home. So they're quite sort of intimate pictures, very warm, showing the different sides of him. So we've got the art exhibition as well. And then we've got the school visits, and we've got 14 panel discussions, 10 book chats with different authors like Oken Dibe, Bernardine Evaristo. It's a very full event, a very full 5 days.
I'm wondering if General Obasanjo and Professor Soyinka will bump into each other somewhere.
Well, the events are taking place on different days.
Oh,
Professor Soyinka's event is the kind of like the grand finale on Saturday, and then President Obasanjo's event is on Friday evening. It's kind of around the same time on both days. It's when things are quite calm and people just want to sit down and listen. And then what I didn't mention, of course, is the films. We've also got documentaries. We've got The Art of Ama Ata Edu, the famous Ghanaian author. There's a documentary by Yaba Badu, so we're showing that. We're also showing a bit of Burma Boy with Barnaby Phillips, because we're doing the Nigerian launch of his new book about the Burma Boy. It's called Another Man's War. We're also showing screening October 1st by Kunle Afolayan and Yepa by Tunde Kelani, his newest film, even newer than Dazzling Mirage.
Lola, thank you for joining us on the Channels Book Club.
Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget you can always join us on any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.